Hello.
Hello.
Evening time. I usually communicate with prisoners of war. Today we have an unexpected event. There really is a guest here, let's put it this way. This is a pilot who chose the side of good and flew to us in a combat vehicle. Introduce yourself.
My name is Kuzmanov Maxim Germanovich. I was born on June 19, 1995 in the Primorsky territory, the city of Arsnev.
What date is today?
Today is the 24th. August, Independence Day.
Independence Day. Have you been here on this street before?
Yes, I was here, walked, drove by, it was very beautiful. I liked it very much.
For the audience, please tell us when you took this step and essentially came to us.
I arrived on August 9th.
9th of August. For the second year in a row, we hold a parade on our main street in the country Kreshchatyk. We show this equipment, this damaged enemy equipment. Your army. Your former army. Do you think this technique? Will this technique defeat us? Let's start with this.
No, this will not happen.
Why? This is the logical next question.
This particular technique, because in general, I believe, it is no longer suitable for use.
Yes, this equipment was hit.
But if we consider all the equipment as a whole, then I think not. This, of course, is already obvious, the whole world knows about it, but still, what is actually happening is not completely clear.
I'll probably ask an unexpected question. What went wrong?
Are you talking about me?
No, in the Russian army.
Well, people began to understand and realize, probably, what was actually starting to happen. So much time has passed. There were no successes at the front, with rare exceptions. And not only this, but also a moral and psychological state.
Describe it.
It's weak. Depressed.
Worse than it was at the beginning?
Very different. Because 90% probably don't know what they're doing. They don't understand anything. They are there to perform some tasks, if you take any branch of the armed forces at all. They perform some tasks, but as such they do not bring any benefit to the motherland or anything else. They have one goal, they pursue only their own goals, how to make money. Well, and various benefits from the state, that's all. This is the main reason why they are at the front. Because there are so many problems in the country that conditions have been created that people simply have nowhere to go. The Ministry of Defense creates conditions where there are supposedly high salaries and benefits for veterans. When people earn up to 30,000 a month, and then at one moment they are offered to sign a contract where their salary is about 200,000.
Yes.
People are just starting to understand, well, are people returning from there? They're coming back, well, maybe we'll get lucky. And then they conclude, in general, a contract.
This is what we basically prove in almost every interview, that the goals are unclear.
Yes.
The global goals of this war are unclear, and such conditions have been created for people that, in fact, due to poverty, they are forced to join the army.
Yes.
What was it like at the beginning of the war?
It was completely unclear what was happening. No one understood anything. Many thought that all this would happen quickly there, as with Crimea. If you expect the same. This was very unexpected for everyone. Unexpectedly for the whole world.
The 24th of February, tell us about this day.
I was very far away that day. I was not involved in combat at that time. Well, for me it was all scary. When I saw the news, when everyone was gathered, I was actually in the Amur region at that time on secondment.
Yes.
In the Amur region, a branch of the Baikal-Amur main line is being built. At that moment I was acting as chief of aviation there. This is a big name. I was a simple dispatcher and applied for a helicopter flight that took the general to places. That is, he checked the work done. And when all this happened, we were all gathered. They began to tell us that a special military operation had been announced with specific goals: denazification and demilitarization of Ukraine.
What did the officers say?
Nobody understood what this meant. No one. And in connection with this, roughly speaking, an order came that practically everyone, almost everyone without exception, was given explanations, classes, conversations, and the like, so that people understand what these words are.
What did they explain?
What? Demilitarization, supposedly. That is, it was necessary to enter this country and neutralize it.
Yes.
Denazification is supposedly the expulsion of Nazis and other fascists from the territory of Ukraine. That's it, in 3 words.
Regarding the first point, demilitarization, judging by the fact that this is the second time we are holding a parade of your broken equipment. Your army failed. The amount of equipment we received. This will soon allow us to surpass you in technical equipment. Have you been to Ukraine before?
I have not been to Ukraine.
How did they explain to you then that there were Nazis here? Was there a meeting?
Of course, they sat us in front of the TV and began to explain to us that this was happening, roughly speaking, under supervision so that everyone would watch. If you are distracted, they will say to you, "Why aren't you looking? You should be looking." We were forced to watch speeches by various officials, from the president to, roughly speaking, the Minister of Defense. That is, all high-ranking officials holding high positions in the Kremlin. They worked with us. They made videos with these people, and they simply explained what, why and when it all happened. That there really are some Nazis, fascists, and so on, and so on.
I can say that more than one officer has never told us before that such spectacular organizational events as ideological indoctrination were carried out.
Of course it's propaganda, but how does it work differently? It is taken from the media, from the internet, from open sources, with the big exception, of course, from television too. People watch the news. All this is then introduced into people's consciousness. People absorb everything.
What did the officers say? Now, taking the number of 100 people, how were people's opinions divided?
So what I want to say about this is that many people were afraid to specifically express their opinions to people. If you say something on your own behalf, yes, not something that someone suggested to you, but you came up with it yourself, said it yourself, then they immediately tell you, "What, you don't support this?" The president told everything, which means everything is correct, that is, they are starting to convince people. You can't have your own opinion. People said whatever they wanted, but, naturally, no one expressed their opinion. Of course, everyone said, "Yes, everything is correct, everything is as it should be." They were afraid to tell the truth. It's my opinion.
Well, it is clear. That is, am I correct in concluding that in public everyone was supportive, but in reality their everything was completely different?
Yes.
Why pilot?
Dynasty. Grandfather is an honored pilot of Russia.
Honored pilot of Russia?
Yeah, he flew 19 kinds of airplanes. He flew everything that couldn't be flown.
Is he a test pilot?
Well, he also seemed to take part in test flights. Well, in fact, he is just an ardent aviation fan who, back in school, set himself the goal of becoming a pilot and is ready to do anything for this. And he succeeded.
Was it he who instilled an interest in aviation?
Yes, from the age of 5, he took me with him everywhere. On business trips, I went everywhere with him. I sat on his lap at the helm.
Yes? This is cool.
In the 9th grade, I was already flying.
Which?
Yak 18T. An aerobatic plane, already at school when I was studying.
Where did you study?
I studied at Sizran Higher Military Aviation School of Pilots in the Samara region.
Who are they preparing?
It's the helicopter pilots.
Why did Grandpa fly an airplane and you chose a helicopter?
Well, because one day when Grandpa drank a little, my fate was being decided, and I thought where better to go, because there is still a civilian flight school in Ulyanovsk.
Yes.
Well, there is still a flight school in Krasnodar, but he just hit his fist and said, Sizron, helicopters.
Yeah.
Sizron, helicopters. Because helicopter technology is now in demand all over the world. Helicopter pilots are needed everywhere you go.
How are you? How did you mature to the point where you need to change something so radically?
I was interested in understanding everything that was happening, from A to Z. I started leafing through textbooks, started watching bloggers, and started looking at various public pages on the internet. Every day I learned something new. I was wondering what was really going on. Why did two such close people suddenly start a confrontation? What happened? So, literally in 6 months I learned all this, read it, I was very interested, I understood.
What exactly?
I had a puzzle, I realized what was going on.
What's happening? Perhaps this will be the first person to say that he knows the whole truth and is interested in politics. What did you understand?
In general, I understood whose side is essentially good now and whose side is the truth. Because if, for example, we talk about Crimea and think, who does it belong to? If, for example, we delve deeper into history, whose Crimea is this? Turkish, Greek, and so on, but there is a certain agreement that the country signed, the Budapest Memorandum. Yes, that is, according to the law, the world recognized that Crimea belongs to Ukraine. Putin, the president, he also spoke about this more than once. If we go to YouTube now, there is an interview with him where he specifically said that he confirms this. The fact that Ukraine is an independent country, in exchange for something, of course, yes, for weapons. And at such a relatively not very good moment, when it was clear that the country had some problems, the Russians simply came and annexed Crimea. They grabbed a piece of the country. And when I also watched the interview, well, it was unexpected, that is, no one thought that they would take it from the rear like that, come and take it away. This also suggests the thought, why don't they like Russians? Why did the Russians act so brazenly? They came to a foreign country and took a part of the territory. For example, you have a 4-room apartment, a man came to you and said, this is my room now, and he had the nerve to take it for himself.
Yes.
This also gave me an idea, and after that the main hostilities also began in the Donbass, when troops were sent there. And when I also read why Donbass was bombed there for 8 years. Who the hell was being bombed? Well, they can't just strike civilians. Yes, it is clear. They went there, why did they go there? If they had not come there, these military operations would not have taken place at all. I think so.
The answer regarding Donbass is very simple. Why was there nothing until 2014, and then everything started? Well, because the troops came.
Because the troops came in, and that's what I'm talking about. The troops arrived and began occupying actions against the country, and it is clear who the shells fell on. They say that they shot at civilians, this is not true. Because they came and started downloading their rights, they weren't invited. Well, it wasn't clear to me.
Yeah.
Then I understood.
Have you expressed your thoughts to your colleagues?
Yes, I expressed my point of view, I said that this was wrong. I said this, if this is correct, then prove it to me, convince me, give facts, arguments, why should I believe in it? No one could answer me clearly, not one. You see, no one could answer me. It just has to be done, it's a political issue, we have to carry out the order. What if this order is criminal in nature? Relatively speaking, I was transporting cargo, but today I was transporting, say, a rocket, and this rocket then. The plane fired a missile, roughly speaking, this missile killed people. Me too.
Responsible.
I am responsible.
Absolutely right. I always give the following example. Is the cook to blame? Now we are talking about the cooks who serve the soldiers, and these soldiers load the grads? He is to blame, that is, there is only one chain of executors. Have you been threatened for your point of view?
Yes.
How was it and what happened?
They told me, if you continue, you will simply be sent to prison.
Who said this?
Well, relatively speaking, my guys, my work colleagues told me so.
Did the commander conduct conversations?
The commander didn't. But the conversation was conducted, relatively speaking, by his deputy.
It's clear.
Personnel who?
What did they say?
They said that. Stop saying all this, we are doing everything right, you are very wrong. But again, to the question, explain to me what benefit I bring, nobody could answer me. You just need to follow orders, like in the Soviet army.
Can a pilot resign?
It is also very problematic with threats. So much so that later you will simply be sent to the infantry. It's better to actually fly, yes, than just join the infantry and die there.
So does such a formulation really exist?
Yes.
That is, they cannot break the contract. Due to health reasons, they will not be released either.
Some guys were written off due to health reasons. Then when they woke up, they were told, let's go through everything again, they will give you all the stamps.
Can we conclude that there are not enough pilots if the command is returning decommissioned pilots?
Well, there are enough pilots.
Enough.
Enough. But there aren't enough people who. Those who are most ready for combat. That is, both morally and psychologically, and the level of training, the amount of training. All these accompanying factors are either not present at all, or only a few have them.
Have you met any airplane pilots?
Yes.
What they're saying?
I talked to guys my age. The conversation developed like this, guys. What are you all doing? Do you even understand? Do you understand your role in this matter? They say, well, we have such an order, and we are just flying for show. We have 3 flights a day. We boarded the planes, fired the missiles, it doesn't matter to us where they hit. We returned, installed new missiles, and so on 3 times. We completed the combat mission. Now no one cares about the consequences.
As far as I understand, more planes were shot down than helicopters.
Yes, maybe I haven't done the analysis myself, but I think so too.
You are a pilot, and in any case, I have to ask you a question. What went wrong with aviation? Why is there no dominance in the skies? Excellence, how should I say it?
Probably dominance.
Yes.
Superiority is a NATO term. Domination is already a directly Russian term.
What's the matter?
Well, right now, at the moment, the Russian side still has some dominance in the sense that they have numbers, they have a lot of planes, they have a lot of pilots. It is clear that pilots do not think with their own heads. So all this is instilled in them, like, you're great, you're doing everything right. They just fly around and launch rockets.
But they do not fly over the territory.
They don't fly.
Where is the dominance? If they flew like in Syria, then one could say so. Why don't they fly above us?
Well, of course they're afraid of getting hit.
Yes, exactly.
But, again, I'm talking about this only because there are a lot of planes and pilots there. That's why I say the other side has some slight dominance. And this dominance is only because Russia has a lot of equipment and a lot of young, inexperienced pilots.
The war rejuvenated the composition, right?
Yes, war is a matter for young people.
No. At first colonels and lieutenant colonels flew, but now, as far as I understand, there are practically no old pilots. Youth flies.
Yes.
This means that we can say that the old ones were killed, written off.
Not all pilots, but one might say the lion's share.
The question on everyone's mind is, will the pilot get back at the helm after captivity?
Complex issue.
What do you think?
But I think that he will sit at the helm of the plane again if he is ordered from above. Why do our pilots commit all these crimes? Because they are afraid. Our people are so intimidated. I am already talking about everyone, the army, other structures, and the civilian population. They are afraid of everything. You will be arrested for your personal opinion. A girl from Khabarovsk came out with a poster, "I love my father." 30 days, fine 30,000 rubles.
Her father?
Her father was mobilized,
Yeah.
discrediting the army. A similar case, a girl with a blank poster was jailed and fined.
I think that the pilot will not take the helm. I will voice this for the audience. He will be considered prone to treason. They will be afraid to trust him with the helm of the plane. It is unknown what is going on in his head. Maybe, as Pashagev said, after captivity everyone is sent back to the front line, but, according to him, the evacuation takes place in a military manner. Because one who is returned from captivity is prone to betrayal. And they don't get guns anymore, so, that's my opinion.
The military does what they are told, but thinking in the army is generally prohibited. The boss thinks for them.
Here's a question that just occurred to me. If pilots, be they helicopters or airplanes, were given the opportunity to refuse to participate in combat operations without consequences, what would happen then?
They would, of course, refuse.
Really?
Of course, who needs that? If a person sits in a cockpit, he does not understand the goal at all. That is, you need to take off, launch the rocket and return. This is the only thing he understands. I also think that, of course, no one needs this, but again, they are afraid to refuse to carry out a combat order.
Fight bomber, what did he write today? Yesterday, the 23rd.
He wrote that the crew died, I was wounded, and that they were interrogating me, trying to get some information. So, relatively speaking, a prisoner of war, and I. Simply. There is pressure on me.
Well, the pressure is on in full force. The pressure is in full force. Are you in captivity?
No. Now I am in a free country.
Independent?
Nobody forced this on me. I realized this myself by talking to people. After talking with my mom, who lived here for a while, she told me that good people live here. And I used to say, yes, guys, they are people just like us. No, they are not like us. Ukrainians are somehow kinder.
How are we different?
I will tell you a case like this. When I was brought to the hospital in the first days after my arrival here, everyone thought that I was an occupant. That is, everyone thought that I was an occupant, that I was a prisoner and that I had to be treated. So, they treated me normally there, that is, they did everything well, that is, they bandaged me and gave me injections. All was good. That is, I then ask, listen, do you know who I am? Well, in general, do you know who I am? Well, we kind of thought you were an orc, this girl who was giving me medical attention.
Doctor?
Yes, maybe she will watch this video.
Girl, hello.
Yes, here she is. She said, I think you're an orc.
And you?
I started to explain to her. Firstly, she thought that I was an orc, but they still provided me with medical assistance, because everyone understands that we are essentially innocent of anything. We are hostages of the situation. So, I explained to her that I had flown to Ukraine.
And then?
She made this expression on her face and said, "Are you serious?" Well, of course, she became interested. I felt so sorry for her. She says, "What are your pilots doing? The entire Russian army. We want to live in peace. We don't want this war. We want to raise children. We want to walk in parks. We want to relax in bars, restaurants, and we want a peaceful life. How can you not understand this? What else needs to be done?"
Fight bomber writes. Relatives of the crew members are in direct contact with me almost all this time. All of them are located in Russia.
So, I haven't read it, I don't know it.
This is his first post. This is a helicopter on which you arrived. And today at 3:29 p.m. he wrote a message. The relatives of the crew members were in direct contact with me almost all this time. They are all in Russia.
Not true.
Not true?
Of course I'm here.
Here he is. I know his mom is here. Also in Kiev. She's fine. How long has she been here?
Almost 6 months.
She's been here for 6 months. When did it all start?
Do you mean
Process.
the process of my flight to Ukraine or preparation?
Border crossing.
9th of August.
Have you already arrived on August 9th, when the special operation began?
The special operation began 6 months earlier.
For half a year.
I mean, I knew and understood something before that. I just wanted to change something in my life, and not just in my life, but simply, firstly, to eliminate the possibility of participating in these crimes. This was my main goal. Basically, in general, I was happy with my life at that moment. I had an apartment there, a car, that is, and so on.
What's left there?
I still have a plane and an apartment there.
Private plane?
I inherited the plane from my grandfather. Yes,
Apartment? Car?
apartment. I sold the car. The apartment and the plane remained there. But there were small things left there, some valuables, gold, rings and so on.
6 months is, roughly speaking, March.
Yes,
February, March.
yes,
How was it? Did you take the first step?
yes,
This happened after the realization came.
yes, I understood what was needed. There was a lot of talk about our system, about how to fight it, what to do with it, how to try to convince the guys. I didn't hide anything. I listened to Ukrainian music because I liked it. Although the guys told me, "What are you doing?" I like it. Why are you stopping me? There was no clear answer. Well, I kind of actively promoted my position, my side.
Mother was in Russia.
She was already in Ukraine.
Yeah. So she arrived earlier?
Yes,
Understood. I was told some details, but they cannot be published. This is 100%, so I will not even mention them. Tell me about the 9th of August.
well, until this date. It is clear that I was in contact with the main intelligence directorate, and at that time some possible outcomes, that is, flight routes, were already discussed. So, the route from Kursk turned out to be the most favorable. We had to start from Kursk because it was close in distance. And there were no other factors that would greatly impede this, my flight. That is, there were no people on board. No other people, for example, the same paratroopers or anyone else. So, basically, I assessed the situation. I remember thinking, here's an opportunity. So, I agreed on the route. In principle, the corridor for my flight was already ready. That's it, I took off and flew at an extremely low altitude, in radio silence. I flew to the specified coordinates, sat down, that is, landed. I was greeted safely. Overall, everything went well.
As far as I understand, you have been in touch with Gur all these 6 months.
There was contact for the entire 6 months.
Were you instructed or what?
They told me humanly, Max, if you decide, then do it. If you don't want to, don't do it. We don't encourage you to do anything. We are normal people here. What they tell you is not here. This is not the case here. If you want, do it.
What's next? You will be paid $500,000.
Yes,
They will provide you with documents.
yes,
This is a condition of our state program. It all works, So, contacts are known, anyone can contact us. What's next in your life?
I want to connect my life with aviation, that's 100%.
Fly?
Flights, yes, if, perhaps, I receive an offer for the purpose of, now this is my country. If you need my help, flights, transportation and something like that, on helicopters of any type, I will take part and help without any problems.
Has this kind of talk happened before?
Yes.
And what answer did you give? Positive?
I said I'd definitely think about it, but I will consider this proposal and approach it very wisely. I already agree 80%. 20% I need to improve my health a little. I need to get used to it a little, come to my senses, recover, step away from these affairs and begin a new service with renewed vigor.
What will propaganda do when this video appears? I don't know when it will come out, but there will be a reaction.
I think this will have a big resonance.
Significant resonance. What exactly?
Well, of course, there will be gossip and rumors. That I am a traitor, that I betrayed my country.
Are you a traitor?
No. Well, Traitor of what exactly? Your country? I love my country, Russia. I love it very much, it is an impeccable country. But I don't like my state, these are two different concepts. So like this. I don't want to see these people who are now sitting there in the Kremlin and have been dictating their terms to us for a long time.
Fight Bomber went on air today on the channel of one of the propagandists. The link to this video will be in the description. I have one question here. Well, essentially one question. The pilot is sitting. Here he is, he says. When he is wearing a mask and helmet, can you hear him at all?
It can only be heard over radio communications. For aircraft intercom. And if he starts talking while wearing a mask, I don't know. I've never worn such a helmet, but it will be difficult to speak. We need normal radio communication.
This is Fight Bomber, who says that he is in captivity, and his mother goes on the air of some Solovyov live. They publish this video where he comments on what is happening. They say you're lost.
Yes.
It is he.
Any pilot will immediately understand that this is not true. Maybe one of the civilians will understand.
Can a pilot get lost?
Not in this situation, but possible.
So,
this situation absolutely needs to be eliminated. But you can't fly, for example, as they said, to Poltava, a distance of 300 kilometers. This is a gross mistake. If the crew consists of 3 people, okay, one pilot did something stupid, maybe something happened to his health. Perhaps he simply does not know how to perform his duties. But there is a co-pilot who can also clearly assess the situation and say, no, something is wrong. Especially, a pilot doesn't just sit in the cockpit and think nothing. They didn't just train him and put him on a plane. He must make decisions competently, that is, assess the situation. He must see everything ahead. He can't just get lost stupidly like that. When I read this, I didn't understand anything.
in principle, this applies to all pilots.
Of course, any pilot will immediately think and doubt.
How did you fly to avoid getting hit?
Extremely low altitude, radio silence mode.
Have you turned off all appliances? When you turn off your devices, are you not visible on radar?
Visible. It is visible on radar, but when you are flying at extremely low altitude, it is difficult to detect you.
Well, the mast must be higher than you in order to. Well, ordinary physics. That is. What is extreme low altitude?
The lowest altitude in general, according to all textbooks, from 0 to 200 meters.
From 0 to 200.
This is considered an extremely low height.
How did you fly?
5, 10.
Treetops.
Yes. I was flying very low.
It's our tradition. My interlocutor, I cannot use the word prisoner of war, is calling someone. He calls his parents or his wife. But I think that in the next video he will call his mother. I think so. This will be the answer for Fight Bomber. Because he's communicating with his mother. I think the propaganda has gone a little bit wrong again. You can't talk while wearing a helmet or an oxygen mask. And today I also asked this question to other pilots, and everyone said that they simply show a pilot who turns his head, and the speech is recorded from another person. Well, basically, that's how it is. What will happen next in this war? Your analysis, your thoughts about the prospects.
Well, it's all just a matter of time. When? The fact that Ukraine has won is already 100%. Everyone probably already knows this, and even the other side knows. But why is this still? The time that will finally come has not yet come. Like this.
There was news today, it seems you read about it, about Prigozhin.
Yes.
What do you think? As a pilot, you should theoretically know the answers.
I think there will be a huge response. Because maybe you even know that Vladimir Vladimirovich immediately flew from Kursk to Moscow.
And from Moscow?
From Moscow.
To Valdy.
To Valdy.
At the time we met, there was no confirmation that Zolkin and Prigozhin were actually on board the plane. But I think there is no smoke without fire, and the plane was shot down there. He was shot down by a missile from the Panzer. I think it was revenge. Exactly 2 months have passed. After Prigozhin committed that riot. What, by the way? Besides the fact that the pilots were afraid to fly, what did they say? How might the rebellion end?
We thought and assumed what could happen, how it would all be. Everyone was watching, the whole world was watching. What will happen? In the end, I will say that they were received normally. That is...
Does the army support Prigozhin?
She, of course, supports him, but... Again, the army is afraid of not following an order when it comes from the top leadership. They seem ready to do all this, but they are still afraid. Again, everyone understands.
The fact that the pilots refused to fly into the movement zone of Prigozhin's columns is a cool topic. This means that they really understood that they would be shot down.
Yes, they understood why fire would be directed at their own troops, that is, at this unit.
Wagner attacked.
Of course, they asked the question, why shoot at them? Who are we even fighting with? Well, these are such stupid questions.
What did I forget to ask?
You still brought me back to the question. Well, in principle, all the main questions were voiced.
Well, maybe.
Forgot?
We follow the script. According to tradition, prisoners of war, the word crossed out, address their fellow soldiers.
I should have thought this through initially, yes, so that I could find the answer to this question.
There is a proposal to contact your colleagues, pilots, friends, I think. In any case, there are friends there, and I think, if you want it.
But I have already addressed my colleagues several times, that is, this was in the first interview. I probably won't get tired of talking about what's really happening. A huge disaster is happening. Any war, again. No matter how necessary a war may be, it is always a crime, and the people who push people to commit this crime, of course, must answer for everything. So, I'm a little worried. I'd like to apologize. I want to say one thing. Very beautiful country. Very kind people. And having talked there with one and the other, with the regiment commanders, everyone, as one, said that we don't want this. Well, how can you not understand? We don't want this. We only want to protect our families and liberate our territory. We don't need anything else at all. That's why I was so imbued with this. I felt so offended. So, for what is happening now. And it's also a shame that I didn't do this earlier. I should have immediately chosen a helicopter and flown to Ukraine, and forget about everything that happens there.
I hope that Maxim's example will be indicative, and this example will allow us to attract a flow of machinery and equipment and right-thinking people to Ukraine. The state program is working. $500,000 will be paid for the equipment. This money is enough not to work at all. Plus, as far as I understand, the documents will be done, and it will be possible to go either to Europe or to stay here. Well, with all the ensuing consequences. So, there are contacts, they are known, they will also be here in the comments, under this video. Pilots who came to their senses. In fact, all those who controlled tanks and self-propelled artillery units. You will receive a reward for any military equipment, so contact us. The military will provide you with a corridor, meet you, and everything will be fine with you, and you will not die uselessly, without understanding what is happening. And, in fact, you will not be war criminals, because, as Maxim says, in any case, we have already won. It is a matter of time before the matter is completed, but, as the head of the main intelligence department has repeatedly stated, all criminals will be punished regardless of where they are. That's what they say. And, by the way, they say that Prigozhin is also a little bit, maybe something like that. Thanks for the conversation. Today is Independence Day. Putin will most likely bomb because there is nothing else he can do. We are located here in the city center. I think everything is going to be all right. This will probably be the first person I shake hands with because, as a matter of principle, I don't shake hands with prisoners of war, but this is not a prisoner of war. This is the right person who stood on the side of good. Thank you. Friends, hello. As you know, on our channel there are interviews with prisoners of war of the Russian army and collaborators. There are interviews with people who went over to the side of good and joined the armed forces of Ukraine, as well as with those people who arrived on military equipment. The coordination headquarters for the treatment of prisoners of war asked to tell one story, from which it was decided to create a new section, dissidents. These are dissident people, as well as people who disagree with the current government. This is an interesting topic. This topic has not been raised here, but there are such people, and they are destroying Russia from the inside. It will be fun. Hello. How are you?
We've arrived. They barely let us out. This is for you. You love sweets, right?
You're scared?
Very.
Why?
Although I had recorded a video before, I was alone there.
Didn't Bandera's guys eat you?
No, but once someone tried to hack my account.
Who?
Someone from Moscow. But they didn't succeed and they blocked my video.
FSB officers?
I think so. Who else could do this?
How are you?
Everything is okay now.
Why?
How long ago did we start the video?
No.
Over the past 5 days I have experienced a lot. A long journey, a lot of moving and excitement.
Can I call you by your name?
Certainly.
Please introduce yourself. Here or there.
My name is Krenina Irina Mikhailovna. I am a citizen of the Russian Federation. I came to Kyiv from Krasnoyarsk.
Do you give voluntary consent to the recording and publication of this conversation?
Certainly, yes.
So that there is no reason for complaints due to copyright infringement. Why did you come to Kyiv?
For me, this is a very difficult question to which there is no clear answer. I came here to convey to the citizens of the Russian Federation that we are living a lie. For more than a year and a half we have been living in such a lie that when I realized everything, I could not stay in Russia. Therefore, I am here to convey at least some information to the people of Russia who care about the war and who can somehow influence the end of the war. Because we are Russians, we can somehow stop this.
How can you prove that you are a citizen of the Russian Federation? People may think that you are a Ukrainian actor.
I have a video on YouTube where I recorded a video message in Russia about my common-law husband. I can show you my passport.
She has a passport. I have seen it several times. It is forbidden to show passport data, so we will not do this. Who did you come here with?
I came with 2 daughters.
How old are they?
7 and 10.
What do you have left there?
All that was left was real estate and animals.
Are you planning to return there?
I'm afraid to go back.
Why are you afraid?
Because my action goes beyond the understanding of many people. I consulted with several lawyers before making this important decision to come to Kyiv. All the lawyers, even military lawyers, unanimously told me that this is very dangerous and if there is an opportunity to ask for political asylum, then it is better to stay in Kyiv.
Then let's go back a little. Tell us your story. Who did you come here for? How did this person end up here? What are his views? What is your attitude towards war?
I came here for my common-law husband, Evgeny Yurievich Kovtov. He came to war during mobilization. He was taken away on the 9th day of mobilization. On the 29th of September he was given a summons, and on the morning of the 30th he was already at the military registration and enlistment office and was no longer released. We couldn't even collect his things. He didn't have time to undergo a medical examination. There was nothing like that. On July 7, 2023, he was captured, which I learned about myself from Ukrainian Telegram channels. I found a video in which I saw how he was taken prisoner. After that, I immediately ran to the military registration and enlistment office. They recorded the information and then, as I call it, the 7 circles of hell began for me. That is, for about 4 weeks I tried to get him recognized as a prisoner of war. The video was not serious evidence for them. I was told that the only body that can recognize him as a prisoner of war is the military unit to which he belongs. Many people do not know that only a military unit can submit documents to the Ministry of Defense to recognize a serviceman as a prisoner of war.
Who tells them about this?
The military unit must receive a report from the commander who is in Ukraine. That is, they say that video is not a compelling reason for them, because it could be video editing. They need a report from the commander. A special procedure must take place, including the interrogation of colleagues who saw the soldier being taken prisoner or, perhaps, how he himself surrendered. That is, if he himself surrendered, then he will not be recognized as a prisoner of war, but will be recognized as a deserter.
I have not yet heard that if a Russian serviceman is captured and there are no eyewitnesses who will tell the circumstances of his capture, then he is recognized as a deserter.
I was told this.
Where?
This was told to me on the hotline of our military unit. They said that they have a special secret procedure. I asked where I could read information about this. They said it was a classified procedure. I called them every day and talked to them every day. Therefore, they told me that they would interrogate my husband's colleagues and would establish exactly how he was captured. If he was captured, then he is a prisoner of war, and if he surrendered himself, then he is a deserter.
I didn't know that. Every time we learn some interesting details. Did they say this at the military unit?
In the military unit number 71289, in the city of Ussurisk on the hotline.
Did you contact the commander who was in Ukraine?
Who took Zhenya prisoner?
No, the commander of your military unit, who is in Ukraine and who was supposed to give a report.
I couldn't contact him, because I don't have any of his information. I wish I could contact him, but I couldn't. After 4 weeks of agony, during which no one could give me an answer, the only solution I came up with was publishing a post in the "Don't Expect Me from Ukraine" group. I asked my husband's colleagues to contact the commander and report that Zhenya and the other guys have not yet been recognized as prisoners of war. We can insert this post here. I saved it.
Whether there will be an insert here or not is unknown. Was he recognized as a prisoner of war?
Yes.
The telegram post helped.
Yes. Less than 24 hours later, my husband was recognized as a prisoner of war.
Do you know who did this?
I don't know. The next day I called the hotline and was told that they received the information literally 2 hours ago and were preparing documents for the Ministry of Defense.
I understand. Your husband was captured on the 7th of July. When did you become aware of this?
12th of July.
From the video you found.
Which I found myself.
Fine. Who took him prisoner?
The 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, created by veterans of the Azov Brigade.
Yes, he was captured by soldiers from the Azov Brigade and the video was recorded by Bieletsky. All Ukrainians know who it is. You can continue the story.
On the internet I found the phone number of this commander. It must have been around the 15th or 16th of July. I called him on WhatsApp. He answered my call and spoke to me very kindly, but was unable to help. He said that more than a week had passed and they had been transferred to another place.
What did you ask for?
I wanted to talk to my husband. I asked if I could talk to him, but they were already in another place.
That's all?
He asked about how I felt about the war, why I let my husband come here, and similar questions.
What did you say?
I said they didn't ask me. No one asked me if I wanted my husband to join the army. He simply told me the fact that he was going to war. I immediately reacted extremely negatively to this, because I think that in the 21st century it is stupid to behave like in the Middle Ages. Wars lead to nothing. It is better to immediately sit down at the negotiating table and discuss everything. Why should people die?
Is it really possible to reach an agreement?
You can at least try to do this. With whom and what should Ukraine negotiate? There is a war going on in the country. Yes.
Who attacked?
We.
A year and a half later, the question arises, with whom to negotiate? Someone must be a representative of the Russian Federation. Who is this man?
This is Putin.
Should we negotiate with him?
It seems to me that this is pointless.
Why?
The last year and a half has shown why this is so.
Because all agreements are unilaterally violated by the Russian Federation. Please describe Putin, your president. In all my interviews I call him king.
How can I characterize him? Should I characterize him based on the propaganda that talks about him? I don't know him personally. What can I say? I can say that he is a man with great ambitions. He probably wanted to make his name in history, play war, conquer territories, although we don't need them. I don't know. I watched Putin's interview with the mothers of fallen servicemen. He invited these mothers to a meeting.
I saw this video.
He says they're absolutely seriously that otherwise the dead could, for example, become alcoholics, but they gave their lives in the war, and this is an honor. That is, he generally spoke some nonsense. I just can't understand how anyone can say that to mothers.
What happened after you talked with Bieletsky?
Yes.
She doesn't know who Bieletsky is. I showed the photo. She said that she actually identified her husband from this video and got through to the commander. And it was Bieletsky, the head of Azov. What happened next?
Do you mean all the authorities that I went through?
Yes.
Later that same day, after visiting the military registration and enlistment office, I went to the military prosecutor's office of Krasnoyarsk. I came there with this video, to which they answered that they had nothing to do with it. They advised me to go to Moscow and didn't even listen to me anymore. I left the building of the military prosecutor's office, where I was greeted very coldly, got into the car and started calling the Red Cross. I left an application there and began writing appeals to the Moscow military prosecutor's office directly from the car. After that, I began to seek help from the human rights commissioners in Krasnoyarsk, the human rights commissioners in Moscow, the military police, Putin and the Krasnoyarsk deputy Shvikin. He is a former military man. Everyone turns to him and he helps with the exchange of prisoners of war from Krasnoyarsk. I also asked him for help. I also contacted the Defenders of the Fatherland Foundation and they offered us money. We went there with Zhenya's mother and refused money.
How does she feel about all this?
At first she didn't believe it was him. She went through a period of denial. At first she didn't believe it, but then she was overcome with horror from the realization. She is very worried about her son, very worried. I didn't even tell her that I was going to Kyiv, so that her health wouldn't deteriorate from the worries, because it was a very difficult path.
In fact, you did this all August.
Yes. This was all of July and August.
Yes, July 2.
He was recognized as a prisoner of war on August 9th and I was really looking forward to the exchange. I thought that if there was an exchange in July, then there would be one in August, but it didn't happen. I thought that there would definitely be an exchange in September, but again there is no exchange.
What did they tell you? Why is there no exchange?
They don't say anything. They write unsubscribes. They have a favorite phrase, effective measures. That is, they are taking effective measures to return Zhenya from captivity. I still don't know exactly what effective measures these are.
As I understand it, they write the same text to everyone.
Yes. And besides, the Ministry of Defense now has an automatic system for responding to applications. They developed and invested in an auto-response system. Robots and not people are already answering us.
Does the answer come instantly?
It does not arrive instantly, but the message says that it is in test mode. There may be processing delays, but it is clear that the answering machine is responding. At the Ministry of Defense, I was told that he was included in the list for the exchange of prisoners of war. I asked when the exchange would take place, and they told me that this was classified information. Where is the guarantee that it will be exchanged? We have 1,000 prisoners of war in Ukraine, or rather in Ukraine.
In Ukraine.
Thousands.
To Russia. I will speak to Russia.
There are thousands of prisoners of war, but they change 45 at a time. 45 by 45, this is done for show. I have accumulated so much indignation, I can't tell you. The fact is that many relatives believe that it is you who do not give up prisoners. Do you understand why I came here to convey the information that we are living a lie?
What is the mood among neighbors, friends and in general?
I want to tell you one more very important point. After I realized that our state, frankly speaking, does not care about the prisoners, the dead, I'm not even talking about the dead, whose bodies lie there for 2 months and are not taken away. A separate interview can be recorded on this topic. When I understood all this, I went to a military lawyer, and he recommended that I turn to the public, and I published a video message. In August, within a month, I found a lot of relatives of soldiers from Zhenya's brigade, who were also captured or disappeared. We teamed up and recorded 2 videos. We posted them on YouTube and Telegram channels. They scattered very quickly. I want to thank everyone who also started posting videos. I noticed that after my videos, many people responded, wrote to me, and I helped them record new videos. People responded and were not afraid to record their video messages and tell their stories about what they experienced, where they turned, and how they are looking for their relatives. Russian propagandists reacted to this. I was already in Kyiv when I saw the anti-Ukrainian post by Kashevarova and Soy. They very beautifully and point by point explain that with these videos we are allegedly worsening the situation of prisoners of war. They justify this by saying that Ukraine benefits from this. Ukraine will not exchange such prisoners, because relatives work for its benefit by recording videos. But I have a question. Why? No. Where is the proof? Let's say a certain woman's husband was captured. She turned to the Ministry of Defense and sat in silence for 6 months. 6 months later, her husband was returned to her. And another citizen went everywhere, recorded videos, started a riot, and came to Ukraine herself because her husband was not returned to her. They write very beautiful texts that have a legal and psychological impact, but people cannot logically figure it out on their own. What I want to say by this is that if I had seen that the exchanges took place in August and September, I would not have come here. I would sit, wait and believe that the Russian side is really exchanging prisoners, but unfortunately no exchanges took place. However, there are no exchanges of prisoners of war.
The video that Irina is talking about is on our Telegram channel. Here we will insert a link to the channel. We posted it on Telegram. Have you been threatened for these videos?
No. Nobody threatened me. I also wanted to tell you how I was summoned to the FSB. Does this need to be told?
Yes, because people are interested in it.
When Zhenya was captured, 7 more people were captured with him. And we thought that Vova was there with him, and we knew his wife.
Is Vova a prisoner?
It turned out that Vova was not captured. When Zhenya was captured, his mother decided that Vova was also captured and asked him to inform Vova's wife, Gala, about this. We contacted Galia. She said that Vova was not captured, but returned back to the detachment or camp. I don't know what they call it. As a result, this Vova, Vova was very indignant because they were being used as cannon fodder. Now there are a lot of videos where soldiers are indignant, and Vova was also indignant. He called Zhenya's mother and told him how he lay under a tank for 2 days to get to his people, that no one came for him, they abandoned him there. But this is not a fact. Vova's wife, Galia, told me all this under the influence of emotions, and I told her about the I Want to Live program and advised Vova to surrender. I began to tell her to surrender under this program. I sent her contact information, explained how this was happening, and she ran to the FSB and wrote a statement against me that I was a Ukrainian spy.
What happened next, Ukrainian spy?
I came to the FSB, they interrogated me for 2.5 hours and released me.
What did they ask?
They asked everything. The interrogation began from afar. They called me and said that they were calling about my husband. I thought they wanted to help. I thought maybe they would exchange him. They were missing some information, and 15 minutes later I was already at the FSB. They started asking me standard questions about where I went, how I found out, and so on. About an hour and a half later they told me about this Galia.
Did he say it himself?
Yes.
About Gala?
Yes.
This country is just. Operative agents, you are great, you don't abandon or betray your own. Did they check the phone?
Yes, in my presence.
What did they find?
Nothing, since I'm here.
Probably, I don't know. How was your trip to the FSB overall?
Everything changed when he told me the reason why I was called. I went there expecting that they wanted to help me, but in fact they wanted to put me in jail. You understand? This made me very upset.
How did the trip to the FSB ultimately end? Did they just let you go?
Yes.
Did they write something down?
Yes, it was an interrogation.
Was it official?
Yes, a 2-page official interrogation.
It's really terrible that people write denunciations against each other. These are denunciations, aren't they?
Yes.
Denunciations to the FSB. I won't hide it. I met Irina at the airport when she arrived. Naturally, I did not travel in silence. I communicated and know a lot of things that cannot be talked about. What poster was in the FSB office?
When I went into his office, he had a sticker with Navalny on his safe. I then told him, "You have such an unusual sticker."
You didn't tell me this.
He laughed it off.
FSB agent with a Navalny poster on his safe. Hello to you.
Vladimir.
I know this story in detail. For example, about Beletsky, I even showed her because she didn't know. We drove for a long time. It was inconvenient to remain silent, so we talked along the way.
Let's tell you how we got in touch with you. It all started in August when I realized that there was no point in turning to the state. I started contacting volunteers. I started contacting public organizations such as Wake Up. The legal consultant helped me a lot. Then in the organization, go through the forest, and be or.
Anyone who doesn't know about the Be Or channel will have a link here somewhere. Subscribe to the channel and say hi from me. I've been watching this channel for a long time, 5 years. They have interesting analytics.
They have a chatbot, they help, they have military lawyers, ordinary lawyers. They help in difficult situations, that is, if you are relatives who no longer know where to turn. For those who have already applied everywhere, you can write to them in the chatbot. They have very competent lawyers, they will advise you and help you. With their help, I found Dmitry. When I was looking for the necessary information, I found an article on the internet from the year 2022 that in Ukraine there is a program, Let's Return the Son to the Mother. Dima said that such a program exists, but not a single mother came through it.
None arrived.
He also said that they also have a program, Let's Give the Wife Her Husband Back, but I haven't heard about it. Thus began planning my trip here. I immediately realized that I would come here. If such a program exists, then I will come according to it.
I passed on her contact information to the I Wanna Live project, because it is essentially connected with life. Then she began to communicate with her curator-coordinator. When were you informed that you would go?
I waited a very long time for permission. I told the coordinator that I agreed to the trip, and then waited 3 weeks for approval from the military. Approval was received, but all this time I was not inactive, but communicated with lawyers. The lawyers all unanimously told me that I should not return. Because if I return, Zhenya will be blackmailed because of me and sent back to war. I was told that we could be blackmailed as children, and that at best I would be imprisoned. This is how they described to me terrible pictures of my future.
Who explained this?
Lawyers who know our legislation. I realized that I needed to take the children and ask for political asylum.
What did they tell you?
The coordinator said that he would clarify all these details, and after some time he gave me a positive answer. Then we decided whether to buy a one-way ticket. It's good that we didn't do that. I think they wouldn't have let me out. We bought a ticket to Turkey for 7 days.
Who bought you this ticket?
They gave me money from this fund and bought me a ticket.
Finally, when did the process of this departure or escape begin? Is this an escape?
This is an escape, a very scary one. I was very worried.
Why is it an escape and not a trip?
Because I didn't tell anyone anything. In Krasnoyarsk, absolutely no one knew that I was going to Kyiv. I told everyone that I was going on vacation with my children to Turkey.
Who did you work there? We haven't talked about this yet.
I worked as a chief accountant in a commercial company. We rented out apartments for long-term rent.
Realtors?
No, we have our own property, and we rented it out.
What was your salary?
About 60.
For Krasnoyarsk, is this a small, medium, or large salary?
Now it seems to me that this is the average salary.
What do you have left there?
Apartment.
Is the apartment large or small?
A nice apartment of 100 square meters in a prestigious area, and I think I lost it.
Why?
It seems to me that after the release of this video there will be a search there. You know, like in detective films when they break locks.
What will they look for there and what will they find?
I don't know. I don't know what they want to find there.
Tell the FSB now what is and where it is, so that they don't make a big mess.
Everything there has already been cleaned. I cleaned everything before leaving.
Firstly, the apartment.
Yes.
What else?
This is all. Only the apartment was registered to me.
Animals, beasts.
Yes, I left the animals.
It's a pity?
Yes. I placed them in good hands.
When and where did you fly out? This will interest everyone.
I need to refresh my memory.
We forgot to turn on the light.
On the morning of the 17th I flew out. From Krasnoyarsk I arrive at the airport and go to passport control. They look at our passports and say that additional verification is required. They sat us on a bench, took our documents and left. We sat for about 15 to 20 minutes, but it seemed to me that we sat for 3 or 4 hours. The children constantly ask, "Mom, what happened with us? Why do they let everyone through, but not us?" I'm all on edge, I'm breaking into a sweat, I'm worried.
Did the children know?
The children didn't know.
They thought they were flying to the sea.
They collected swimsuits and swimming circles. I didn't tell them that we wouldn't need it. They took everything: slippers, swimsuits for a holiday at sea.
Were you asked any questions during these 15 minutes?
We sat on a bench, then the shift manager invited us. For some reason, she began to question my eldest daughter, asking her questions. What was she asking? They asked her last name, first name, patronymic, date of birth, how old she was. They reviewed my passport many times. It is new, already with a fingerprint. I received it in December. I can't understand why they checked him so many times, but in the end they released us.
Tell me, what were you afraid of when you flew from Krasnoyarsk?
It seems to me that the night before the flight I almost died. I was in such an emotional state, I cannot describe how afraid I was. When I arrived in Antalya, it was as if a weight of fears had been lifted from my shoulders. That's it, I crossed the border, I could calm down.
What were you most afraid of when you got to Kyiv?
I was afraid that I would stand out because I didn't know the language. For some reason I thought that everyone here only spoke Ukrainian and that if I said anything in Russian, they would beat me. It was really funny. Now I'll start telling it, and she'll continue.
The incident in the front door, after my conversation with the concierge. What happened when we got into the elevator?
I said, "What, does everyone speak Russian?"
She covered her face and said, "God, I'm so ashamed." Because she asked what everyone really spoke Russian here. I still make fun of her all the time that now Bandera's men will kill her.
He makes fun of me all the time. Before the interview, he told me that he was taking me to the torture chamber.
Who in Russia now knows that you are here?
My friends know I'm here. One of my good friends. She is my good friend in misfortune. Her husband is missing. By the way, I want to clarify information with you.
Question for the military.
Yes. Her husband has gone missing, and she also cannot find the truth that we are seeking. But today the children's father found out.
When and where did they find out?
I told them when we were in Turkey.
What did you tell her and what was the answer?
I told her that I was going for Zhenya, that I would not return to Russia. She said I was crazy.
Second friend.
The second friend said that if her husband was alive, then she was also ready to go after him.
What did the father say?
My father is going through a storm of emotions right now.
The children's father is meant.
The father of the children takes everything very close to his heart in life. But now his emotions are just going through the roof. He is now on duty, and I have been writing to him since the end of August, beginning of September to come and see the children. I wrote to him asking him to come, but he put it off. Now, since he didn't get to see the kids before leaving, he blames me.
I talked with the coordinator who led IRA. She wanted to come alone at first. Everything was planned and built based on the fact that she would arrive alone. The children had to stay with the first father because the second one was in captivity. But the first father could not come. In addition, the lawyers said that it is absolutely necessary to either go with children or not to go at all. In fact, she abandoned her car, apartment, pets, and parking space there. She gave up everything. And there was little time, because on Wednesday she was told that she could already go. She was supposed to leave on Saturday, which means she only had 2 working days to resolve everyday issues. It is also necessary to take into account that it worked.
For the last 2 working days, from morning until evening, I finished all the unfinished work.
She sent donations from a corporate account, and now will call you at work and tell you that you won't come. Yes, vacation? Till Monday. Since it's Friday, I think people will need to be warned, but we'll get there. I just came up with this. There will be a meeting between her and her husband. Tomorrow, yes, the military said that they would organize a meeting tomorrow, in this place. How will he react? I don't know, I'm very worried. I'll pretend we didn't discuss this yesterday. What will he say? We'll talk tomorrow. It won't be right if I repeat your words. I'm afraid that he will say that he doesn't know me at all. What's the second option? Secondly, he will become completely numb and will not be able to say anything. And thirdly, he will be happy or scared. How many times have I asked this question? So many. You will see him, and then what? What are you hoping for? I will talk to him. We will see this conversation. I myself don't know what it will be about, since I don't know this prisoner. Vova also did not communicate, the interviews were not recorded. What's on his mind? How did he get captured? Was he taken or did he give himself up? Tomorrow we will find out everything. How are you? Where do you live? There is no need to say the address. I understand it. I was given a 3-room apartment, very comfortable, in good repair, in an excellent, quiet location. They provided me with everything I needed, and we are settling in. She spent the night in Kyiv for the first time when drones were flying. I have a video of how I talked to her this morning, but I don't know whether I'll embed it or not. She overslept. Since we have different time zones, the difference with Krasnoyarsk is 4 hours.
Yes.
It's 1 in the morning for us, it's 5 in the morning for them. Considering that from Sunday to Wednesday she was on the road for 4 days, plus 2 children, it's hard.
I didn't hear anything.
Her children heard.
Anya heard.
What did she say?
She said she heard explosions and a siren. But I didn't believe her, I thought she made it up. Then in the morning Dima confirmed that there was an arrival 1.5 kilometers from our hotel.
I know more because you already told me. What did your friends tell you about Kyiv? Are you talking to them? Now you are at a distance and cut off from everyone. She has 2 friends who know she is here and a husband. Judging by the fact that you haven't talked about it yet, you don't want to talk about talking to your husband, right? I can't talk about what she doesn't want to talk about. What did your friends tell you?
What did they say? They said they were worried about me. When I showed them the apartment on video, that everything was fine with me, they began to calm down.
We'll call now. Either way, we have time.
Yes. What will I tell her now?
Just say hello and ask how she is doing. Tell her that you are in Kyiv.
Hello.
YUL. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Everything is fine. I am now in Ukraine.
How?
I had an escape plan, so to speak, which was a success. I am in Kyiv with my children. I asked for political asylum here and I will never return to Russia.
Seriously?
Of course, seriously.
Why didn't you say?
I'm telling you now, I couldn't tell you before. Right now.
Okay, I heard you, then I'll look for a new employee.
Of course, I was so worried about this that I quit everything so urgently. Here.
It's a joke?
I'm not kidding. How can you joke about such topics? Tell me, what do you think about this?
I don't know. Have you thought about everything for a long time? Why didn't you tell me at home?
At first I thought of going after Zhenya alone and returning. But after consulting with military lawyers, I realized that blackmail would begin with the children or me. If possible, it is better not to return at all.
Who did you leave the dog and cat with?
I gave them away.
Did you give them away in advance?
Yes.
You weren't planning on coming back, were you?
I bought a vacation ticket in order to be released. Understood?
Understood. Then, it's okay. Tell me, do we have any payments, or is there something serious due? I could find a new person in a week.
We have nothing serious, we will discuss this topic with you. I'll call you later, don't worry.
I'm shocked.
Everyone is shocked, I myself am shocked, can you imagine?
Where do you live?
They gave me a very nice 3-room apartment, and we are living there for now. Now I will decide. Children need to be sent to school. This will be homeschooling or online. Something like this.
Did you take all the documents?
I didn't take the documents, it's impossible. I wouldn't be allowed because they're watching all this. Now I will contact the school and figure out how to do all this. When I flew out of Krasnoyarsk, no one knew anything, not even the children. I didn't tell anyone because I was afraid that they wouldn't let me out after my videos. You understand, I already had problems.
I understand, but, to be honest, I'm a little shocked. At least you said, otherwise I would have been waiting for you on Monday. Then I will start looking for a new employee for work. Come on, good luck.
Bye.
If you have any problems, call me.
I'll call you from my Ukrainian number, save it.
I think it's better not to.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys, here's the story. This is the first case of a person escaping from Russian territory. I classify Russia as North Korea. When it became known that the military offered me to shoot this video, of course I agreed. She managed to leave, but she doesn't give many details, and I understand her, so I can't comment on it. That day, on the Telegram channel, I published 2 videos about how Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia and Finland prohibit the entry of cars with Russian license plates into their territory. You know?
Yes.
Russia is North Korea, which is closing the border. If someone thinks that there is nothing special in what Irina did, this is not so. Try to give up everything you had in 2 days. A good apartment, a car, a parking space, an animal, a job. Were there any problems with money?
No.
On average, how much money was available per month for yourself and your children?
About 150,000, with alimony.
This is with or without Zhenya's salary.
I didn't have his money.
She had 150,000 a month. She essentially ran away from a comfortable life into the unknown. I know that people will write different things in the comments. It was necessary, and someday the true motives for why this happened will be revealed. Tomorrow there will be a meeting with Zhenya.
I'm really looking forward to. I can't say what I'm worried about, because I've calmed down now. You said that I overslept because of the road, but in fact, in the last months of July, August, September, I slept very poorly. Now that I'm here, I don't jump up in the middle of the night. I don't lose my breath during sleep. I myself am a very emotional person. I see what is happening in the country. In our country. Many people, in my opinion, do not know that we are currently at war. I look at these smiling, satisfied faces. They live in their own little worlds and don't understand that people are dying. Our people, your people. For what? I really want. So that my video, which you and I recorded, is watched by as many people as possible and realizes that this is war. I can't wrap my head around what this war is for. Because one president went crazy and decided to play war? So real people die there. As for the fake news, I believed in it. I believed that you really bombed yourself, even at the very beginning, and then you say that we bombed you. When I watched Russian news, I believed it. And now I turn to independent sources. And I understand that Russian news is built on lies. And they approach this lie very professionally. Everything there is written by psychologists and lawyers. I don't know by whom, but it was written in such a way that it is easier to believe that Ukraine is blowing itself up than to believe that we are doing it and that we. As for the events in Bucha, it is easier to believe that Ukraine laid out the mannequins. They know the human psyche and know how to influence it. It's just that now there is destruction of Ukrainian cities. Destruction of civilians. Although we say, prevent the death of civilians, destruction is now taking place. Well, I overslept again. My child heard an explosion 1.5 kilometers from the hotel. As far as I understand, the air defense went off, and there were no serious consequences or destruction, right?
We can't tell where things explode.
Aha, so what? They, as they say, have eliminated the threat, that it's just the fragments scattered, and if there had been a hit, the consequences would have been much worse.
Yes, her friend was very worried and talked about the bombing of Kyiv.
Yes.
I want to stop this discussion about how we're shooting at ourselves for everyone who.
Yes, let's close this issue.
For all people who even a little try to think. Listen, all the Russians who have this crap shoved into their heads, and it penetrates and remains. Can you imagine how many of our troops should take part in the shelling? The number of these people. What to do with them then? That is, the military deliberately launches missiles at Kyiv, where their friends, acquaintances or relatives may be. That is, this truth that we allegedly bomb ourselves should be known to many, well, that is, hundreds, or even thousands of artillerymen and other military personnel. Where should I put them? This is bullshit. And the main question, why didn't they bomb themselves before February 24, 2022? Why didn't we bomb ourselves? Watch the interview with Vova, more than 700 of them have already been recorded. What the prisoners say. Who bombed whom? You shoot your soldiers, blow them up with mines. A video appeared on our Telegram channel. To prevent your soldiers from surrendering, you kill them. Therefore, the topic of bombing ourselves is closed, and we will not return to it again.
And the topic of the liberation of Donbass. What does Donbass have to do with Kyiv? Why did the troops go to Kyiv? I don't understand where the logic is here.
This is the first video with Ira. There will be more videos. She's here for a purpose, the military told me. This is not just the arrival of a person and not just the organization of a meeting between a wife and a prisoner of war. You understand that he will not be released tomorrow and will not be released in a month.
I understand.
That is, she knows this very well.
I was told about this in advance.
That he will not be released, he will not be given political asylum. This is a separate story and a separate procedure. He will be brought for an interview, a conversation, it will be recorded, and he will go to where he was. She will remain here, the road back will be closed to her. Here's the story. Write in the comments, like, go to Telegram, subscribe, because we have a lot of interesting things there.
Distribute this video so that as many Russians as possible can watch it, because, as I understand, half of the views there are from Ukrainians.
No.
No?
There are fewer Ukrainians now.
Less?
60% of traffic is from Russia. If 1 million people watched the video, 600,000 people from Russia watched it. But we don't track further, because the videos are copied and posted. Dissident, let's call you that. Can we use this term?
Yes, I looked up the meaning of this word.
Do you have anything to add? You wanted to talk about something during a smoke break.
Oh, I wanted to add about the collective appeal. That is, I realized that our appeals separately have no force. Well, that is, we write, and in the end it all ends up somewhere in the offices. And I decided for myself that if, perhaps, we managed to find relatives from Zhenya's brigade, and we recorded a collective appeal, then maybe something would change. I found 22 soldiers, 6 of them prisoners of war, the rest were missing. We gathered 102 relatives. It took me 10 days to write a collective appeal. We wrote it on 20 to 5 sheets of paper. I sent this appeal to Putin, to the military prosecutor's office, to the military police, and we also decided to write to Kadyrov.
For what?
Because he exchanges prisoners. We thought that he would help exchange Ukrainians for our prisoners of war.
He can't do it.
In short, we also wrote to him. Of all of them, Kadyrov immediately answered, "You won't believe it."
Yes?
Literally a few days later he wrote that this was not in his competence and that we should contact the Ministry of Defense, but he could not help us. Everyone else ignored us. That is, it has already passed. And not even a month has passed. On the 25th of August the first sent. By law, they have 30 calendar days and another 3 days to provide a response.
As I finish the conversation, I'll ask the question I asked her 30 times.
Yes, you asked me about this very often.
Why are you here?
I want to help stop the war.
Can you do it?
I want to convey this information to Russian citizens about what is really happening in Ukraine now.
In order for Russia to collapse, you said in Ukraine, in Russia. She is here with certain goals and objectives. This is not just the case, as they may write in the comments now. That's why.
I want my family not to be afraid. Why? I can't understand why they took a man, then killed him. I don't know, he was captured. Okay, they didn't kill him, he died. I just think that Putin is a murderer, but okay, the man was captured. Why do they sit and be silent? They are even afraid to record videos. This government should be afraid of us, not we of it. That is, our people are so intimidated that they are afraid. They just sit, remain silent and wait. What are they waiting for? What to expect? Everything is already clear. Nobody cares.
We'll make sure they care. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Are you okay?
Fine.
Do you agree to the publication of this conversation?
Yes.
Introduce yourself.
Kovkov Yevgeny Yuryevich.
Your date of birth?
December 8th, 88th year.
Place of birth?
Krasnoyarsk, Russia.
Mobilized?
Yes.
When and how were you mobilized?
In September 2022, I received a summons after work and was told to report to the military enlistment office the next day.
What day was it?
I think it was September 30th or 29th.
I see. What did you do before mobilization?
Auto mechanic.
How much on average does a specialist in Krasnoyarsk earn per month?
30,000, sometimes more, depends on the month.
The day after you received the subpoena, were you ready to go somewhere?
No, I just took the papers and went to the military enlistment office. That's where they told me we were leaving today.
So soon?
Yes.
Where did they send you?
Omsk.
How many people went to Omsk?
I don't know.
About 50 or 200 people?
20.
What did you do in Omsk and for how long?
For almost a month we did nothing much. We were taught to dig trenches.
Did you shoot?
Once.
How many rounds?
30.
Yes?
Yes.
Where did they send you after the range?
Crimea.
Was it November?
October or early November.
Where were you in Crimea? For how long and why?
We spent 3 weeks in the village of Pyatyhatki.
What were you doing in there?
Routine errands.
You didn't specify what unit you served in or what army you served in.
83rd Airborne Assault Brigade, 2nd Battalion, 6th Company.
A paratrooper?
MGB.
MGB. When did you enter the territory of Ukraine and cross the border?
If we talk about Crimea,
I'm curious, in your opinion, what is Crimea?
Peninsula.
Peninsula. Who's Crimea?
Before the occupation, Crimea belonged to Ukraine.
Crimea was occupied?
Everyone says Crimea is occupied. I don't know.
In your opinion, was the occupation of Crimea legal or not?
I don't know if it was legal or not. I don't know how it happened.
Have you been to the Crimea?
Never.
Have you been abroad?
I was in Siberia all the time.
Do you consider Crimea to be Ukrainian or Russian?
It's hard for me to answer.
Why? Out of 700 prisoners of war, you are the first to find it difficult to answer. It has never happened before.
Right now, it's probably Ukrainian.
What happened next? Where did you go after 3 weeks in Crimea?
To the village of Menchikuri.
What area?
I don't know.
How long?
It turns out we were there for a little over a month.
What were you doing there?
Nothing.
So you didn't take part in any combat operations before June?
No,
What direction did you find yourself in, where the fighting was going on?
I think it's the village of Andriivka.
Was it June?
End of June.
What was going on in there? How many people were there?
We stood in positions. There were about 11 of us from MGB, not counting Storm Z. We didn't cross paths with them. I can't say for sure, but there weren't many.
5?
Yes, there were about 5 to 8 people there. We were regularly shelled there.
Our shelling?
Yes, they were shelling hard. Mortars, artillery, and tanks were working. We had to stay in the dugouts most of the time.
Killed and wounded?
Yes,
How much?
almost every day one person was wounded, and Storm Z's unit had many dead.
Are they like cannon fodder?
Not really, they just died foolishly. They didn't follow basic safety rules, like sitting around cleaning machine guns during the shelling.
Instead of hiding.
Yes, there have been times when a landmine has come and killed a man.
When were you captured?
6th of July,
6th of July.
2023.
July 6, 2023. Have you seen any dead at the positions?
No,
That's great. Tell us in detail about the last day before you were captured.
we were in the dugout and were waiting for a command to withdraw, but no command came, and by that time an AFU unit had surrounded us. They worked professionally.
Well done.
Brilliant.
Brilliant? How are you different from our military?
They are defending their homeland.
Yeah. From who?
From us.
Yes. What were you doing in Donetsk region? Donetsk region is the territory of whose country?
Donetsk region?
Bakhmut is the Donetsk region.
Ukraine.
What were you doing there? What did you fight for? Whose homeland did you defend there?
I don't know what I was doing there.
Who is waiting for you in Russia?
My parents and my girlfriend.
They want you to fight?
No,
And mom?
she cried.
Yes?
Yes.
Girlfriend?
Also,
Did they call?
when?
Are you allowed to call in captivity?
No.
What would mom say?
She'll cry.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I'm Dima, a journalist from Ukraine. Do you know me?
Yeah, I know.
Your son is a prisoner of war. Do you know about it?
Yes.
In order for you to be able to communicate, your consent to the recording and publication of this conversation is required.
I agree.
You do not say who you are with or where you are being held captive. You can talk about the rest.
Hi, Janechka. Xenia.
Don't cry.
How are you doing? What happened to you?
I'm fine. And you?
Johnny, I'm fine. The main thing is that you're fine.
They didn't call you?
That's a first.
It's okay, it's okay.
Stay strong.
How did you know?
Johnny, we saw the video on June 8th. We saw the video.
Who?
Ira.
My?
Yes, she.
Where is she?
What?
Did she call you?
She called. We contacted the Department of Defense.
It's clear. Are you calling her?
Yes.
I miss her.
All right, son.
What's the ministry saying?
Drink some water.
Hold on a second. What are they saying?
They say wait for the exchange.
When?
Johnny, there are no exchanges pending.
I know you don't. Why not?
They don't say.
How's Dad?
What?
How's Dad?
I called him, talked to him 2 days ago.
How's he doing?
It's fine.
Thanks God.
Yes.
I'm fine, don't worry.
I wait for you, Johnny. I wait for you every day. I miss you very much.
I miss you, too. Well, it was nice talking to you.
Me too. You have no idea how.
Say hi to Ira, tell her I called.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why did you let him go to war?
The summons came.
Okay, but that's not what I'm asking.
I don't have an answer.
Have you ever been to Ukraine?
Yes.
When?
In 1985 I was in Donetsk, Makiivka, Gorlovka.
Did you see any Nazis in there?
I had a lot of friends there at the time.
Yes. Are there Nazis there now?
I can't say, I don't know.
Have you seen the Nazis?
No.
Who took you prisoner?
Azov Battalion.
What weren't they supposed to do with him?
I saw him taken prisoner.
Yes. What does your propaganda say? What were they supposed to do with them?
Nothing.
Nothing. Then let's get back to the question. Why did you let your son go to kill us Ukrainians?
I don't have an answer.
How? Why don't you know?
I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know.
Okay, I'll ask it another way, even simpler. If he had been killed, what would he have died for?
I can't even imagine.
You would stand on an empty grave because he would be left with all the dead on an unmarked grave. Standing there, what would you say to yourself? My son died for. Continue the sentence. Who did you vote for?
I didn't vote.
Who did you vote for?
I didn't vote.
They don't vote, but they constantly choose a czar. Who elected Putin? For some reason, not a single prisoner said they voted for him. She just keeps quiet.
Okay, good to see you.
I love you, my dear son.
Likewise, bye.
Be strong.
Bye.
Yes.
Be strong. Why? Why?
To endure captivity, I guess.
Did you know that after the exchange you will go to war a second time?
I don't know.
I say this, they won't let you go home. You'll go to war a second time. Fun, huh?
No.
Why?
It's not fun at all.
Isn't it fun to become the king's cannon fodder? What is your desire at the moment?
I want to go home and see my mom.
After that,
After that, I would like to live an ordinary, peaceful life and forget all this like a terrible dream.
what is your wish right now, other than to go home? Because that's not possible yet.
I want to smoke.
It's a simple wish. I'll ask the military to give you a smoke or I'll give you my cigarette. Is there another wish?
I want to go fishing. To end the war.
It's a good wish.
So people don't die anymore.
Yes.
Not on your part, not on ours.
You want to see the girl?
Yes.
I have her phone number. What would you do for her?
I can't answer the question posed.
At this point, I can't answer the question posed.
I'm agitated. After talking to my mom, it's hard for me to talk.
Come in.
Johnny.
Why are you here?
Hi.
Hi.
Why are you whispering?
Why did you come?
We will talk about this now, because you have been in captivity for 3 months and you don't know How Russia simply doesn't care about those who died with you in Kleshchiivka, who are still lying there and rotting. That the Russian government doesn't care about you being held captive. Give me a hug. You've lost so much weight.
Hi.
Hi.
He didn't want to talk to you.
He didn't want to?
No. He says he has a lump in his throat.
Did you tell him it was going to be a video call?
Yes.
A lump in your throat?
Yes. He was greatly disturbed by his conversation with his mother.
Have you talked to his mom yet?
We'll talk to her again.
What does mom say?
She doesn't know what she would have said or what her son would have died for if he had died. I asked her. How many Nazis have you met today?
No Nazis I met. Today I freely hailed a cab in Russian, went to the mall and bought clothes. I mean, I don't speak Ukrainian at all and I don't have any problems. I just don't know what you two were talking about or how I should proceed with the conversation. I mean, I could fill him in on how I got here in the first place. Or he could,
Tell him everything.
Does he know something or does he know nothing?
He doesn't know anything. We talked about how he got into the war, how he got captured.
And then you called his mom?
Yes.
Did mommy cry?
I didn't see it. Did she cry?
Yes.
He's all yours. You may communicate.
Anyway. The last time you communicated with me was June 10th.
Last time.
Yeah, last time. Then, about 2 weeks later, I contacted your sister, Julia. I asked if you had been in touch. She said she had called the military enlistment office and they told her you were on a business trip until the 1st of July. The first days of July came and you didn't contact me, so I went to the military enlistment office on the 4th of July. I was escorted out. I was told that I was a nobody and that I should bring a relative. From the first days of July, I began to monitor the situation in Bakhmut and Kleshchiivka and search for information. On July 12th, I found a video of you being taken prisoner. It was in the morning. I woke up and saw the video in the morning. That same morning, my mother and I ran to the military registration and enlistment office, showed this video, and what I call the 7 circles of hell began. We reached out everywhere we could. I appealed to the military prosecutor's office in Moscow, to the Ministry of Defense, to the Ombudsman for Human Rights in Krasnoyarsk, Moscow, to various deputies. Everywhere we turned, there was this cold sympathy, you know, sympathize and forget. Then I found out that you can be recognized as a prisoner of war only in a military unit in Ussurisk. Only they have the right to recognize you as a prisoner of war since you are assigned to them. My mom and I kept calling the helpline of this military unit. We were told the same thing. Now there are fierce battles in Kleshchiivka. There is no connection with the command, and the video is not the basis for us. He is in the ranks. This video could be fake. We need the commander's report. We need to question fellow soldiers who were eyewitnesses, what they saw. They may have surrendered themselves. If they have surrendered themselves, they will not be recognized as prisoners of war, but as deserters. The whole thing went on until the beginning of August, and it wasn't until the beginning of August that you were recognized as a prisoner of war. In early August, my nerves gave out and I published a post in the "Don't Wait for Me from Ukraine" group because I knew there were your coworkers in that group. I knew this information and published a post asking your coworkers to bring the information to the command to pass the data to Ussurisk. This message was published at night, Krasnoyarsk time, and the next day, not a day later, information about you was received in Ussurisk. So your guys who were in Kleshchivka saw this post and informed the command. The commanders passed the information to Ussurisk. It was the 5th of August, and on the 9th of August your mother received an official notification that you were recognized as a prisoner of war. This information spread everywhere. The information even reached the Ministry of Defense. I called the Ministry of Defense and was told that the status of prisoner of war had been granted. Then I asked, "When will you be returned?" I was told that this was classified information and that I had to wait. The last exchange was, "You're sitting there and you don't know anything."
6th of July.
The last exchange was on July 6th. I waited for an exchange in August and September, but there were no exchanges. There is information that exchanges have been frozen on the Russian side. Because if they were frozen by Ukraine, I wouldn't be here now. So Ukraine wants to exchange everyone for everyone. They have been negotiating this for a very long time.
Dmitry talked about it.
That is, Russia, represented by our government, has given up prisoners of war. We have no prisoners and no losses. The guys who died are still lying in Kleshchivka. I found relatives of the guys from your brigade. There are so many missing people there that I can't tell if they are just not being taken away.
Is Vladimir alive?
Yeah, he's back at camp. Fox.
Alone?
With a wounded man. Galia blocked me and wrote a report on me to the FSB. His spouse.
Why?
You need to ask her about it.
For what reason?
I was interrogated by the FSB for 3 hours.
What's the occasion?
They thought I was a Ukrainian spy. I will tell you further. When I realized that it was pointless to appeal to the government, because I had written repeatedly, then we wrote a collective appeal on behalf of the relatives of all the military. That is, I found all the relatives of those guys from your brigade who were missing, who were captured with you, and we wrote a collective appeal on 25 pages. We sent this appeal to the Ministry of Defense and the Military Prosecutor's Office. I sincerely hoped that a collective appeal would have a different impact on them, but we did not receive any answers or results. The only thing they write to everyone is that they are taking effective measures to get you back from captivity, and that's it. When I realized that there was no point in turning to them, I started turning to volunteers, to public organizations that help Russian citizens not to go to war. That is, they help to avoid mobilization. I started consulting with military lawyers, and they referred me to Dima. I also found a program on the internet. It's a program called "We Bring a Son Back to His Mother." It's been around since last year, but I didn't know they had a program called "We Give a Husband Back to a Wife." Dima told me about this program and connected me with the I Want to Live Foundation. That's how I ended up here.
He snapped.
Why don't you say anything?
Do you have water?
Yes.
What are you gonna tell me?
Nothing to say.
Can I have some water, too?
20 hryvnia.
How do you feel about war?
Negatives.
Why did you go to war? I told you not to go. Yesterday before we met, I found some information. Not a single person in the Russian Federation has been imprisoned for failing to show up at the military recruitment center when summoned. So they created such a lie. We are all living a lie right now. People go to war because they are afraid they will be imprisoned.
I wonder what's going on in his head now?
Of course, he had no information.
What's he thinking right now?
He's probably thinking it over.
What do you think of what Ira did?
I'm shocked.
Shock?
Yes.
Did they tell you where they were taking you?
No.
Were you afraid?
No.
He wasn't even tortured today.
You are as always.
He wasn't tortured yesterday either.
I was tortured yesterday.
All right, then. We need to get constructive. I join you.
Yeah, okay.
It's the first time this has happened to me, but you have to speak up because being silent is good but not interesting. What are your inner feelings? Could you imagine that?
No.
What thoughts are going through your head right now?
Dmitri, I have no thoughts. I'm shocked.
What is your assessment of her actions?
A feat.
Just so you know, I came here realizing that I couldn't go back to Russia. I'll go to jail. That's the best case scenario, and the worst case scenario will be what happened to Prigozhin, I guess. Do you know what happened to Prigozhin?
No.
So I took 2 kids, 1 suitcase for 3 and came here. To save you and stop the war, to bring the truth to the people of Russia, because most people live in fear. In our country, people go to jail for a "No to War" placard or a solitary picket.
I see him breathing. He breathes every now and then. Yes?
Yes.
Probably in his mind now. She dropped everything, took 2 kids and came here. Write in the comments what your options might be. Because this has never happened at our meetings before. Of course I'm interested in your opinion. What kind of reaction could he have had? I don't understand it yet.
He's shocked.
That's understandable. Are you happy?
He didn't even know that I was planning to come here, that I was waiting for permission, meaning he was living in ignorance.
Yes.
He didn't even know where they were taking him today.
From the looks of things, he's being tortured right now. He's even at a loss for words.
What are the conditions of captivity? Is it possible to talk about it?
I can do that. How many times have you been tortured today?
Were you tortured?
I've never been tortured.
He was tortured yesterday.
Yesterday, I wasn't tortured either.
When's the next torture?
This information is not provided to me.
All right.
Relax. Why are you so stiff?
She's right.
Relax. It's okay. It'll be over soon. It can't last much longer. I recorded a video message because I realized a lot of things. I went to a military lawyer for advice, invited your mom to come with me, but she declined. I, together with relatives of other prisoners of war, recorded a video. We posted it on the internet, but the FSB blocked it. Then the FSB tried to hack me, but this video had an effect. Other relatives also started recording videos of what problems they faced, because we have a lot of missing persons and prisoners of war now. I understand the situation of being told that your relative has died. People are going through such grief. They were told that the soldier died under some circumstances, but there is no body. They left it because there is fighting going on and they can't deliver the body of the deceased. This is happening specifically in Kleshayevka, as I have information that commanders of other military units are making arrangements to create peaceful corridors so that all the dead can be collected. In our unit, the commanders don't agree on anything. There is some kind of Bermuda Triangle. In Kleshayevka, there are so many missing persons there. Remember, you sent me a picture of a fellow soldier from Omsk. He is buried there.
I'm going to ask an interesting question.
He's shaking. Do you have a sedative?
No need.
Constructive question. She doesn't want to go back. But do you want to go back?
Yes.
What now?
I don't know.
You do realize she can't go back now?
I don't understand anything yet.
Don't ask him questions like that yet. He needs to think it over. He's in a state of affect. Look at him shaking. I was shaking like that the night before I left.
You're shaking.
I've calmed down a bit now, but I was shaking just the same. I couldn't sleep at all. I didn't finish. I wanted to say something about the dead soldiers. What the relatives of the dead learned about the deaths of their men, fathers, husbands, they mourned them. I realize it is a very great grief to lose a loved one, but they know he has already died. It's completely different when you know your person is being held captive. They are alive, how they feel every day being here. They shut our mouths and tell us to sit and wait for an exchange, but time passes, there is no exchange in principle. I mean, if I saw the swap was in August or September, I wouldn't have come here. In principle, they do not exist, and they do not exist through the fault of the Russian side. The state refuses you because it does not need you. You will come and say that you were not tortured in captivity, that you were treated well in captivity, and that you were very lucky to have been captured. It was just some kind of miracle. Dima, join the conversation.
Why not? The video will be very interesting. There will be a lot of cuts because there is a lot of silence.
Yes, there's a lot of silence.
What happened to your hand? You'll break your fingers.
He's nervous.
If he breaks his fingers, the military will have to treat him. Tell me, what's going on in your head? Because she's the first person in the whole war to come to a man like you.
I can't say anything. I'm just in shock.
Your shock has passed.
No.
How much time do you need?
He's very emotional.
He was silent the whole time we were talking.
He's like this.
Are you happy?
No.
I can see it for myself.
You're not happy?
I don't know.
That's what I was afraid of. Remember when you asked what the reaction would be?
Now, no matter what I ask him, he'll say, I don't have an answer to that question. Yes?
I was watching some press conference, some news. There are now 1,000 contracts being signed in Russia a day.
сейчас в России в день подписывают 1000 контрактов.
Yes,
There was some military man performing in Vladivostok.
the Tsar said.
In total, 1,000 contracts are signed per day. Now they are refusing those they mobilized because they promised them a lot of guarantees.
Потому что они пообещали очень много гарантий.
There are a lot of benefits, social assistance, support, payments, and the mobilized are not profitable for them now. Now they are moving to a contractual basis. Because relatives of mobilized people who are in captivity receive full provision, and relatives of contract workers only 15,000, it is so for comparison.
Всего 15 тысяч. Ну так, для сравнения.
The full content?
Your mom gets all your paycheck you received during the war, but while you are in captivity.
Получал, находясь на войне. Пока ты в плену.
You said.
No.
Now.
She got 96,000 as she wrote to me, but the payments are coming in installments.
Всё, оно же там частями приходит.
As he comes to his senses.
For now, I say.
What? Make the call.
To whom?
His mom.
Hello. Why is the video bad?
It's okay. I can't hear you.
We.
She doesn't say anything.
She doesn't speak.
I can hear you.
Hello.
Hello.
I came to see wife.
I can see that.
What do you say to that?
What do you want me to say?
Your opinion. We talked to him. He was not tortured once during the whole time he was in captivity. I came here under the husband-wife reunification program.
Ни разу его не пытали. А я приехала сюда по программе «Вернем мужа жене».
The video freezes.
She is silent.
She is silent.
Can you hear us? Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Do you have something to say to Ira and wife?
She doesn't need to say anything or there could be trouble later.
Проблемы будут.
Like what?
I want to say that Olga Nikolaevna didn't know anything so she wouldn't be tortured by the FSB officers. I didn't tell anyone in Krasnoyarsk that I was coming here.
То есть я никому в Красноярске не рассказала о том, что я еду сюда.
She is in complete ignorance and shock.
Неведении и шоке.
Because if I told her, she'd forbid me to come here.
То она бы помешала бы мне.
She wouldn't let you go?
No.
Why?
No sound.
There's no sound. I can't hear you.
She is silent.
She was saying something, moving her lips.
Say something. Hello.
She's shocked, too.
She just doesn't say anything.
Because the man is in shock.
В шоке.
Everyone's in shock. You should be sent to war, so that everyone there will be shocked. Will you talk?
No, I won't.
Then that's it.
Okay.
Then just say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Everyone's shocked. She's shocked too. You broke Zhenya. You broke his mom. Let's break Putin. Let's call Putin.
We can't get through on the phone.
You're the first to agree because 700 like him are silent.
He can't even read what I wrote to him.
Кстати, я ему писала.
I wrote him so many appeals, but he didn't read a single one. All appeals were redirected to the Ministry of Defense and that's it.
Обороны и всё.
Gianni, what should we do in this situation? What are your thoughts?
Don't pester him, he needs to think it over. I've been in this situation for 3 months now, you know?
Понимаешь?
When I first learned that he was captured, I counted on our state. I believed in him. I thought that now there would be an exchange and he would be brought home.
Думала, вот сейчас обмен будет, его вернут.
State.
It's not like he hasn't lived in that situation for that long.
Столько времени.
Did they have any communication there, just a TV?
Freedom.
In Ukrainian?
In Russian.
In Russian? Russian news?
News about how yesterday Sevastopol was destroyed. The day before yesterday something else was destroyed. In general, news from the front.
I also wanted to tell you that out of your 83rd Brigade, 6 men went on vacation, and 5 of them did not return.
What?
I guess they started to think with their heads. People are only now, after a year and a half, beginning to realize that there is no point in this war. Everyone already realizes that what they said in the beginning was an outright lie. 5 of the 6 did not return from vacation.
They're good. I asked you who would win?
You asked me, and I will answer you again.
Guess what he replied?
What did he say?
Well?
He probably replied that no one would win.
No, he said only God knows that.
Yes?
Yes.
I am of the same opinion that there are no winners in war, only casualties. I also cannot understand why mobilization is announced only when there is a direct threat to the country. What is our threat? Nobody attacked us. It was we who entered a foreign country and lost our main army there, which was more or less professionally trained. We needed to make up for the losses, and we are mobilizing again to send them to another country again. If Putin invoked the defense law, then recruit mobilized people and leave them in Russia, and if someone attacks us, we will have training. But why recruit men and send them off to fight?
But someone has to be on the front lines.
Well, if he says that we saved Donbass, we were called there to save it, then why did he attack Kiev? Why did he introduce troops into Kherson?
Ask a military man.
What kind of military man is he? He's just a civilian who's been duped. He told me that in the entire service they had fired a machine gun only once, and that was only to videotape it for his parents.
He told me that too, didn't he?
Once for the video, during the entire service life.
In Omsk, huh?
On active duty.
You're a special forces fighter.
I don't consider him a military man, I consider him an injured party as well. When the announcement was made.
What injured party? He wasn't hurt at all.
When mobilization was announced, what did Putin promise? That they would be drafted for a maximum of 6 months, that they would not end up in a hot spot.
4 months.
Putin promised 4 months, 4 to 6 months, and that they would be somewhere along the border. The bottom line is what? The bottom line is that the ordinance no longer exists, it was deleted retroactively, and then a new ordinance was issued. It was decreed that those mobilized would be in the war until the end of their term, and many were not allowed to go on leave at all, meaning they were drafted to go to war but had never been on leave.
So now we press pause, put the gadgets on charge because everything is running out of power. Talk for half an hour and then we'll continue.
Alone?
He won't kill you?
Why would he kill me?
How should I know? Spetsnaz, airborne troops.
He won't kill me.
There will be a soldier here. The military will not leave you behind.
A sedative?
No.
I took 2 pills, I felt better immediately, because on the drive here I was shaking so badly my soles were sweating.
Maybe your fingernails are sweating too?
No.
Power bank.
That's my power bank, but then give it back to me. Remember you promised me yesterday you'd download something to my laptop?
Yes, what you brought.
I brought it.
There was a smoke break for about 30 minutes, Zhenya was smoking, and while I was talking to him, he was very shocked and called Irina the wife of a Decembrist. However, Zhenya, you are not a Decembrist at all.
Yes.
The Decembrist wife?
I hope I'm the future wife.
Gianni, What are we going to do? What are your thoughts?
No thoughts.
He needs to calm down, he's still shaking.
I see, then answer for him.
Then ask me.
I questioned you yesterday. As a result, I retold the whole story of how she got here. What are your personal plans and thoughts?
I want to cooperate with you, record videos and broadcast for Russia.
About what?
It's true.
It's a good idea. What's next?
I'll be setting up the household. I need to get the kids in school.
You're not coming back?
I want to return to Russia, but in the current situation it is impossible. Maybe one day, when all this is over, I will return to Russia, but not now.
What awaits you if you return?
Prison.
For what?
Today, people go to jail for telling the truth.
Not for the act, but for the truth you broadcast.
For everything in general, for coming here, for broadcasting.
What's going to happen to her?
I don't know how things are in Russia and what is going on there.
Let's imagine that an exchange has taken place. Do you want an exchange?
Yes.
What about her?
I can't answer that question.
There is such a procedure as repatriation. Do you know about it?
Yes.
No.
What's that?
It's when someone is unilaterally returned.
Yes, they'll just hand you over without any conditions. Zhenya, if there is an exchange, do you want to return to Russia?
Yeah, elderly parents.
Parents, that's good. Do you want her to come back with you?
Yes.
This is an option, that is, if you want, you will be transferred back to Russia with him. Do you want to go there with him?
Are you asking about these things?
That's interesting.
You and I discussed this yesterday. I spoke to both a military lawyer and a regular lawyer. They explained to me that I would go to prison for 10 years. Now for a crime against,
Discrediting the army.
Yeah, you get 10 years for discrediting the army. We get less than that for murder.
That's really defamation. You get 10 years for that.
Yes.
What about the kids?
They'll probably be given to the father.
Let us then consider what happens next in this configuration. It's an interesting topic. Several options. He leaves and you stay with the children. He leaves and you and the children move to the Russian Federation. What other options are there? Whether he will stay is the question, but he may not want to stay. Do you want to stay?
No.
No. You don't want to go to jail?
Of course not.
What if I did? He's in prison now. Is it good there?
No.
10 years in prison wouldn't be funny.
Yes.
It's not funny at all.
If you're against the war, let's try to stop it, because that's what I'm here for in the first place. I don't want guys from Russia and Ukraine to die. We are brotherly people. What is going on? I came to Ukraine. Everyone understands me here. No one accuses me of speaking Russian. I really don't know a word of Ukrainian. Today I called a cab, calmly drove to the shopping center and bought clothes there. No one's even said a word to me about me speaking Russian. Here's some information for you to digest. After the POW exchange, you're going back to war. If you watched Dima's video, they already showed cases when a person was caught twice. Right, Dima?
Yes.
They're going for a second round.
Didn't I tell you?
No.
There was one here. He's a prisoner of war now. He was exchanged on February 15th of this year.
Storm Z?
Mobilized.
Yes?
On February 15th he was exchanged, and on May 25th of this year he was taken prisoner for the second time. After the exchange, he was in hospital for 2 weeks, then he escaped from the hospital, was found and returned to his unit. Anyway, he was an engineer, fixing something. They put him in a trench and he was taken prisoner. He will not go to war a third time because he has many wounds.
Is he here now?
He's a prisoner.
Same place?
I don't know exactly.
If you were hoping to be exchanged and sent home to your parents, that is not going to happen.
8 million people like you who had foreign passports left to avoid getting caught.
That's not gonna happen. See, he doesn't know anything at all.
He doesn't have access to the internet. Who gives him permission to watch or read the news? You tell him.
Nothing will happen to your parents. The main thing for Mom is that you are alive and well. When the war is over, we'll come back. Putin doesn't have long to rule. He realizes this very well because he has overstepped the bounds of what he led the country to when he seized power. Now we have elections again. United Russia won again, from the very top to the very bottom unanimously, but it doesn't work that way.
What election?
To the State Duma, governors, mayors and deputies.
Governors are not elected now.
Now they're being voted for.
September 10th was a single day of voting.
I have a bunch of ballots where people write in and ask for the mobilized to be brought back, for the war to be stopped and things like that.
I can only imagine what's going through his head right now. He's really in shock. He needs to come to his senses.
Yes.
He needs to recover from what happened, and maybe there will be another clip where he comes to his senses.
It's the right thing to do.
Because it's broken, badly broken, that's a fact. One of these days I'm going to ask the military to let me record another video. Irina can prepare for the meeting by gathering news from Russia.
Yes.
Let's take the laptop and show them the video. What do you think? If you are the same at the next meeting as you are now, it will be a waste of time. Because they are bringing you here, they are guarding you, they are organizing this meeting. Irina is taken from somewhere, then it is all done in the opposite direction. A lot of resources, time of different people are spent in order to record the video. This case will go down in history because your wife and 2 children left everything and came to you. It will be written about in the news, including on TV. Tell me now, do you want to meet again or not?
I wish I could, but I'm always so quiet.
And now he's still in shock.
I see.
Sure.
Why does he want to go back to Russia?
Because he thinks he'll come back and they'll let him go. He's probably counting on that.
Do you really think so?
You were written off the moment you were sent there. They don't even collect the bodies of the guys who died there. I spoke to these relatives, these unhappy mothers. The co-workers who told them about the circumstances of their children's deaths are now in prison. Because they started contacting further to the commander, somewhere else, some search parties. They were asked, "Who told you your son was dead?" They gave his call sign, and immediately we learn that he is in prison. The guys who recorded a video message in Kleshchivka on the 7th or 6th of July that they were thrown there as cannon fodder. Many of them died, some are in jail, some were sent to Storm Z, and they say this video is fake. You were there, you know what happened there.
He told me how he was captured. Tell her, I think she should know.
I saw a video of him being taken prisoner, but I don't know the details. If you can, please tell me.
Sure.
We were captured right in the dugout. We were supposed to retreat, but we were ordered to sit and wait. A fellow soldier looked out when he heard voices. We were already surrounded by the Azov unit. They had grenades, loaded VOGs. I personally saw the barrels.
What's HEG?
How many were there?
They were grenade launchers. There were about 15 people there, there were 2 dugouts, and they came in from all sides and surrounded us.
They've got you surrounded.
Yes.
There were 2 options, give up or
Stay there.
and die.
Yes.
They'd throw grenades at you, that's all. So, 20,000 likes on the video. No, 20 is not enough. 45,634 likes. I will ask the military to authorize me to record a third conversation for which Ira will prepare.
Yes.
Write in the comments how you see the third conversation. I thought it was going to be some emotional conversation, but Zhenya almost choked. He saw her, lowered his head, and his chest did not move.
Was he different before me?
He was more animated, we even talked to him.
Yes?
Yes.
When he saw me, that was it.
Then he broke down.
So he loves me.
Hallelujah. Let's wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
No.
It is a tradition for a prisoner of war to address his compatriots. We have such a tradition.
Yes.
He turns to his compatriots and says something about whether they should go here or not.
Say something.
I don't know.
When a prisoner of war doesn't know what to say, I speak for him. Bring a black bag of your size or put $300 in your pocket. Our program works the same way it always has. We pay bonuses to our defenders who add to the exchange fund. So, yes. And I will immediately answer the question why I haven't posted a video of the prisoners for 2 weeks because the military asked me to do so. Payouts continue, drones are sent to the front just the same, but I don't show the prisoners because I was asked to. Because Russia claims there are no prisoners. If there are no prisoners, there are no prisoners, but he knows the number of prisoners. There are a lot of prisoners where he is.
Yes.
A lot. Ira knows. How much?
About 8,000. According to my information.
I don't have the information because it's a military secret. Were you trusted with any military secrets?
No.
You could have said.
What kind of military man is he? He's a deluded civilian. He doesn't even know how to fight a war.
Did you fire the automatic weapon? He fired it. So Irina took this step after watching our videos.
Yes.
She told me about it yesterday.
Yes.
At least that's something. Do our videos help?
Sure.
Yes.
You're doing a very good thing.
Did you watch us, too?
Yes.
Yes, I stumbled upon your video by accident. May.
Before I was captured?
Yes.
Who was the video with? Me or Vova?
You.
Who was I talking to in there?
With different people, one was even from the Krasnoyarsk region, from Caucasia. He called his brother, we talked, watched your video, and it so happened that we met.
Captive.
Yes.
Were you expecting us to meet?
I didn't see that coming.
Subscribe, share the video, put likes. 46,728 likes, and there will be another episode.